Hey guys, Core Ross and welcome to the 6 News Roundup. Today we're rounding up all the Rainbow Six news over the last week or so. So we've got, to begin with, some patches and stuff that we're going to go over. But we've also got a mystery about something on the consoles which came with Shadow Legacy, which is really odd and might point to something new in the future for Siege. But let's talk patches. So first of all, we got a seamless patch on all platforms now, so PC, Xbox and PS4, which fixed a few bugs. And although they called it seamless, I noticed that quite a lot of people, I think it was on Xbox especially, got a 16 gigabyte update, which was basically just getting the old, the new season again. So that was a bit of a pity, but otherwise it looked like it came out relatively well, and this fixes a few things. But we've also got a new patch up on the test server, which is fixing quite a lot of things. And of course, just like every single season, I don't think anyone should be surprised at this point, 5 years into Siege, that every single season launches with plenty bugs. No matter how long we test server or anything like that. Although I would say, I'm glad the test server is there because the first 2 weeks of the test server were seriously buggy. So I'm glad that it goes for 3 weeks these days. But like I say, there's a patch out on the test server right now trying to fix a bunch of different stuff. Hopefully that will work. There is fixes for the current sound bug and stuff like that, but we'll see how good that ends up actually being when it comes out to live. But let's move on to that mysterious new feature on the consoles. And this is interesting, but I've basically had to think about it since the launch of the new season on what this actually meant for the game as a whole and the kind of mystery behind it, because we've got text chat on the console, but it's not working. So it's a bit weird. You have to actually hold down the start button, and then this text thing will pop up just like it would on PC. But of course, there's no way to actually input anything on the consoles. There's no on-screen keyboard or anything like that. You actually get locked and you cannot do anything once you bring this menu up. You have to actually leave the game and come back in, and that is fully close the game. Now, I want to point out one thing that happened with this season, which was the switch in input, because this is actually relevant to this. So the input changes, they changed the rate of fire with the ping button. Now, I think the reason they did that is because when you're in the drone view and you can ping, they want it to be the same button when you're out of the drone view. So I think that's why they did it, but I'm still getting used to it. It's really annoying. But this is the thing. This change, of course, came with Shadow Legacy, right? But also it didn't. It actually came back in Season 1 of Year 5. It was on the test servers for Season 1. And I actually put a bug report because I thought, this is weird. I even put in my bug report that maybe this was possibly intentional. This is something the developers were actually doing. But it was the case that they switched the ping and rate of fire buttons. Of course, what we see now is that this was leading up to the ping system, and this was probably left over from another build of the game. And this is the thing, things in the game are getting developed alongside each other, and developer builds are of course getting intermingled, and it means that when you actually come to making the live one, kind of pulling out the bits that you're working on for the live build can be quite hard, and little things like that can get through, or big things as well. But this is my kind of note here about this. If this change has appeared on consoles, it's probably not an accident. It's probably something that is coming in the future. And why, of course, would there be text chat in the console version of the game? Because, of course, 5 years in, we don't need it. There's no point having it on console. So there's a few different possibilities on why this might have been added in. And like I say, I think it's probably from a feature in the future. Now, there's a few different ways to think about it. One is keyboard support, which would be maybe a smart option if they go crossplay. That means they could actually separate out the controller players and keyboard and mouse players. And even they don't have to go crossplay. They could simply have a separate actual matchmaking for keyboard players on consoles if you wanted to do that. Especially with the next gen consoles coming out with 120 FPS 4K for Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I just want to highlight that I don't mean the actual players right now that are using keyboard and mouse on consoles, because they've, of course, bought an additional box that they plug their keyboard and mouse into, which then emulates controller inputs, so it looks like a controller from the Xbox or PS4's point of view. I mean, this actually having native support. Of course, those cheaters aren't going to go suddenly switching over to play with other mouse and keyboard players. They're going to continue to use their emulator to get an advantage. So, yeah. The potential here is that this could be something for crossplay, but considering crossplay didn't come with a season, and if you wanted crossplay to work, you'd have to merge, of course, all the player bases, but you'd also have to merge all the ranks. That probably isn't going to happen during a season. That'll probably come with the launch of a season if it was ever to happen. Like say they merged PS4 players and Xbox players together, then they'd have to do that probably at the start of the actual season, or it would potentially mess up ranks. And also with my bug report, remember that was from the beginning of the year for season 1 of year 5. And we didn't then see the feature get added until season 3. So this feature here, of course, could be something that's up and coming, but it could be, year 6. It could even be the end of year 6 before we see it. But it does, I think, mean that the developers are working on something behind the scenes, but I just don't know what it is, because it could be crossplay, it could be something completely different, or it could just be basically adding in a basic text chat with potentially an on-screen keyboard that they haven't yet enabled. Who knows right now, but I do think it means something is coming. Now I'm going to leave you with one last thing, and that is my 3D printed drone that I purchased and did an unboxing for, and I freaking love it. It looks so goddamn cool. So if you want to go check that out, you can go watch my video on it. And of course I have tons of unboxing videos as well that you can go see, and I've got a lot of really cool stuff that I've unboxed over the years. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.